Hello, good morning, everybody, and afternoon. You are watching the Impact Money Show on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana via our good friends at Smart Money Culture TV, Smart Money Culture TV Network. Make sure to check them out. We are growing and having a lot of fun. A lot going on today as well. You're watching around the world on YouTube and X and Rumble and LinkedIn and all of the rest. Man, the markets will make you happy right now. Those PPI numbers came out yesterday, and I'll be darned, we are moving. We are moving as predicted. PPI numbers came out, and it was really exactly what the markets wanted, exactly what the Fed wanted. There are rumors now of a 50 basis point move, which is a 0.5, about half of a percent move on interest rates, which would be a big move. That would be a big move for everybody. It would do a lot for everything, price of housing and all that stuff. So that, of course, has sent the markets flying as the U.S. dollar has slid, and that's what happens. That relationship between the U.S. dollar and risk assets, the U.S. dollar goes down, risk assets go up, pretty much. Okay, and as the U.S. dollar goes up, of course, the risk assets go down because there's less dollars out there in order to buy the assets, right? So that's how that works. So on occasion, it will. Sometimes when it goes down, it all goes down. And we saw that over the last couple of weeks. And everybody probably felt that. You felt that if you were in the market. Now, if you didn't feel that, what you need to do, not financial advice and all that stuff I'm supposed to say, is get into the markets. Okay. You don't want to be, this US dollar is going to slide into oblivion, folks. It has been sliding into oblivion for as long as you've been alive. And you need to protect yourself. And that's why I put there in the title, protect yourself. Get in gold, get in silver, get in assets that are not like Bitcoin, that they cannot dilute. See, Bitcoin, they can't dilute the Bitcoins. And I know you might not understand that. Let me explain it to you in layman terms. There's a certain amount of Bitcoin that will ever be produced. And there's an algorithm and there's a code and everything that goes along with it. And every once in a while, you'll have somebody that comes around and they don't know what they're talking about. And they'll say, oh, no, well, they'll just make more Bitcoins and everything like that. And they have done that before, but those are new coins. You see, the original code of Bitcoin that's been around for all this time, that's going to continue, and that'll continue. And if they change something, that will be a new currency. And they have not been able to cancel or stop Bitcoin. And that, I expect that to continue. So that being said, you have other assets as well. Global Boost is one of them. I'll tell you what, full disclosure, of course, we were instrumental in starting Global Boost over a decade ago. We're coming up on the 11th year, and we're doing some really special things on that right now that we'll talk about moving forward. And you have other assets, of course, that are just going absolutely crazy. Toncoin today. Oh my gosh, Toncoin is on a tear. Toncoin is on a tear. It's up over 11%. I mean, man, you love that. And Dog or Flower, which you guys know, I talk about Dog or Flower. I'm long on this one, right? Dog or Flower. And yeah, that's up like 25% or I'm sorry, 60%. 60% on the day. Let me just confirm that real quick. 62% Dog or Flower moved. So that's a nice move, man. That'll put a smile on your face right there. Now, the Ton ecosystem is absolutely exploding. It's one of the things that I talk about, and actually Matt as well to talk about quite a bit. That Ton ecosystem is just exploding. It's exploding, and that is leading the markets today. But the rest is going to follow. I think that as well. I do kind of have this gut feeling that even though the DoD just put through this $30 billion arms package, And now that has to go through Congress. They're going to add money for Taiwan. They're going to add money for Ukraine. It'll be another $100 billion, which will cost the average family about $2,000. You'll feel it in inflation, and they'll probably push it through. But I have a funny feeling that I don't know. I'm optimistic now that the Middle East is not going to blow up. I wasn't very optimistic before, and for some reason now I'm just starting to get the feeling that we might not go into World War III in the Middle East. I hope. Now, of course, you look at Ukraine. Putin's closed all peace talks. We've bombed, I think, 3 of his bases. Nobody's talking about it, but I think we bombed 3 bases. We, relative term, our arms, I think, U.S. arms have bombed 3 bases, and as well an assassination on his life on July 28th, which again nobody's really talking about that either. We kept it really out of the media. Nobody heard about it. So we had an attempt on Trump's life on the 13th, and then we had an attempt on Putin's life on the 28th. And those are obviously connected. You can have more than 2 brain cells and figure out that somebody ordered the assassination of those 2 guys, and that's somebody, some group. You can come up with your own theory about that. I'm not going to talk about it at the moment. I have before. Maybe I will again. So that's, but I don't know. I feel like for now, we're okay for some reason. Just a gut feeling that I have, which is nice. It's nice to have that gut feeling, and I hope that they stop the killing as soon as possible over in these different places, as well. Now, as we move forward, we're now in August, right? Now, October is called Uptober, right? I mean, this is like, this is like trading 101. Okay, October is Uptober. Everybody knows it's Uptober. As much as you want, good morning, how are you? As much as you want the markets to go up in July and in June and in August and everything else, they really normally historically just don't do what you want. The dog days of summer, it doesn't happen. This is a normal thing. And actually, I talked to even one of my friends. I mentioned it on the show a bit ago, and he's a client as well as a friend, and I wanted him to do some more stuff, and he goes, Bruce, I'm taking off until September. And I said, oh, it must be nice in Europe. And he says, no, it's not a European thing. It's just experience. And I get it, because the dog days of summer. Now, doing the show is a little different, of course. It's good to get the news out to people and influence things as we can. But a lot of business, it's the dog days of summer. People are off. People are on vacation. It's the way it goes. So, but if we have a nice push here, which looks like we are in a nice push here. So we're going to talk about, we'll be charting and talking about targets here in about 5 or 10 minutes soon. And that's pretty awesome. But the big push should be in October. October. So you want to make sure you have your positions. Make sure that you're in your assets. Gold, still obviously so bullish on gold. You can go to @costmetals, @costmetals.com. Use referral code clubs to join there. I actually even included it if you're watching on the different platforms. @costmetal, @costmetal with no S, @costmetal with the @ symbol there, and you can just click the link from X, and that'll take you right there. Referral links club. Sign up. You can buy gold, silver, palladium, platinum at cost. The dollar is going to continue to slide. That much I can tell you. What the central bank has done with our money is they've taken away any real value that it has. Okay, it only has value right now, so you can't even store it away, dig it, store it in the ground, and tell your kids or grandkids or somewhere to go get it one day and it'll be worth something. It probably will not be worth anything at that point. Paper money, there's no intrinsic value. The coins hardly have any real and they actually don't even want you to use them anymore, but they hardly have any real metal in them anyway. And that's what they have us on. And so obviously then they use it not only as a debt instrument, because every dollar of course comes with 3 to 5% of debt that we owe to the central bank, but it also, the Fed in the US, but it also is a tax instrument, because as long as you are holding those dollars, you can be taxed because they just dilute you. And that's how this next 30 billion that just got approved, they'll put it together with Taiwan and Ukraine. It'll be another $100 billion package, and they'll charge you. You'll get charged about $2,000, your family. There's a loose term, $2,000 if you have 2 kids is how I figured out that number. It'll cost you about $2,000, but you will feel that if you're in US dollar. If you're not in the US dollar, if you're in other assets, you will not feel that as much. Maybe you won't feel the whole $2,000. Maybe you'll feel more, you know, I don't know, depending how much dollars you're holding. Okay. That is a tax instrument, and that's what you need to understand. And I know crypto is scary. Obviously, the at-cost metal is a great way to go. Buy yourself some silver, some gold coins, some silver coins, some gold bullion, as you want. But you should get into some crypto too, because this stuff is really going to go. It already has. But with the limited supply, and you see now all the big guys are getting in with these ETFs. We got now their futures trading, like Matt was talking about yesterday. So you can long, you can short the market. I mean, this is like the markets have been said to be an instrument for the wealthy to extract money from the masses. And, you know, if that's right, okay. But you want to be in that top percentage. And one way to do that, of course, is to follow our signals on the show. But if you are feeling a hole in your pocket, that's what you want to do. And you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You don't have to buy, you know what I mean? You can buy some of these other cryptos as well, as I said. So, but yeah, I'm just looking at my thing here, the PPI report, market slide. Yeah, that's it. And then we have, I'm going to bring Matt on here in a second. And then, you know, we have, of course, Musk is under fire. I'll tell you this. I have watched now more news. I'm with family this week, and I've watched now more news on the legacy media this week than I have in, I don't know, last year, I guess, 2 years, maybe even. And it is absolutely amazing. It is no wonder why everyone hates Trump. It's like crazy. It's absolutely insane. It is nonstop. They talk, person after person after person comes on, and they talk about how Trump doesn't know what he's talking about and how his supporters are crazy. And now Elon Musk, this guy, well, I mean, he's now turned X into, platform of disinformation and this and that and the other. And the crazy part is that X is the only place that you can get real information. But all day long, they drone on and on and on. And I know how powerful it is. We're on TV. I know how powerful TV is. On and on and on in the background. Trump is bad. Kamala's great. This is bad. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. Trump bad. Kamala is great. Trump bad. Kamala is great. I mean, it's crazy to watch. They're not even trying to be two-sided. It's crazy. It's not media. That's not news. That is it's government propaganda. I remember being in China, and the news was like that. Anyway, let's talk about the markets here. I got the great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Amazing. Played out beautifully yesterday, didn't it? PPI figures. They were low.
Yes,
low.
They were low, and everybody loved it. And
so the chances now, they're factoring in now 49% chance of a 50 basis point cut in September. Yep. That's not going to happen. This is what I'm saying, and I believe I'm right.
I said it in the title, rumors of a 50.5% cut. I mean, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, we'll get the rumors are basis points. 50 basis points would be seen as panic.
Yeah.
There may well be reason to panic. We'll have a look at the charts and see. But right now, things are looking really good. So I'll just share my screen and we'll take a look. So you're right. Toncoin was one of the amazing movers, wasn't it?
Oh man, Toncoin, and then of course I'm long on this dog or flower that's on the Toncoin. We went up 62% yesterday. Oh my
Wicked.
God.
Toncoin, oh, your dog and flower, yeah, amazing.
Yes.
Serious.
Yes.
Toncoin is up 11.9%. It's just pumping. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that ecosystem, like we said, that ecosystem is just gonna
It
explode.
really is.
Aren't
I was
training.
on a big spaces show last night, and they were talking about Ton and the people building on Ton. As you say, it is amazing. It's going to be, it's got a long way to go, I think.
It has a long way to go. I mean, even a move to $30 right now, you're talking about like 4x from here, guys. Like, holy smokes. And will Ton hit $30 in the next few months? Probably. I mean, it's really possible. 20, it's like it's programmed in, I think.
Interesting what you were saying about October.
Yes.
So 19th of October, 1987 was one of the biggest market crashes of all time.
Well, this goes, I saw on your X, this probably goes into your go vertical and then crash, right? Maybe.
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously we don't know when it is, and I do actually agree with you. I think we're going to probably get a good October, most likely. Yep. But actually, looking at the S&P yesterday, I had this dotted line in. I said, we need to pass this. And I said, probably, and I said yesterday, likely the PPI figures will give us what we need to push us over the line here.
Yep.
And this is a very, very important line, because it means that instead of this being counted, I had it as 1 or A down, 2 or B up, then 3 or C down. So if it's 1, 2, 3 down, it's not allowed to cross the dotted line, then we get a 5 down much lower. That would be pretty nasty, because that would mean the market's topped out here. Now, we had confirmation yesterday, because we crossed that dotted line, that it's just a simple ABC to the downside, which means we should now push to new all-time highs for the S&P 500. And being a risk asset, high correlation across those risk assets, that means good news for crypto as well. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ton, Solana, the lot should be really good news. XRP, the list goes on.
Yes.
So this is looking really positive. I love the look of these green candles, the way we pushed through so clearly, pushed through that resistance line. And it was resistance. It kept meeting it yesterday and falling back, meeting it, falling back. If you looked on the shorter time frame, you see a couple of attempts, but then when it broke through quite convincingly. The level was about 5,400. It's now 5,440. So moved very convincingly above that level. So really pleased with that. We will look at some of the longer term charts briefly. Again, we still not, I mean, I'm actually confident. I think we're probably best to zoom out a little bit on this Bitcoin chart just to see where we are. Now, this can potentially be what's called a triangle, and this is what gave me reason for concern. Not short term, because short term, I think we're headed much higher on Bitcoin. Now, we may not have finished wave 2, or it may have finished here. We genuinely can't quite tell for sure. Probably a close analysis of the shorter time frames might make it a bit clearer. But I'm not 100% sure whether we're complete with the wave 2 here, or whether we could push down again for wave 2. But I think actually we're most likely complete. If I had time, and I haven't right now, to look into this, we could see whether this is a proper 3-wave move down here. And if it is, that means wave 2 is already complete there, and we're already beginning to push higher. So we're there or thereabouts anyway on Bitcoin on this correction. So we've had basically from the top, and we will probably label these very briefly. From the top here, I'll call that one 0. And I've got these in very big writing, so we can't miss them. In fact, I probably should use a triangle tool, but I won't right now. Triangle tool will put them all on much more quickly. B wave is probably somewhere there. This is taking me a moment and a bit slow, but C wave. You can see where I'm going with this anyway already, but I'm virtually there. D wave. Now, if you remember, I've mentioned triangles a lot in the past, and the triangle, with the triangle, the only wave that's allowed to overshoot the trend lines is the E wave. So you can see everything else has stayed beautifully within trend lines. So this, for me, actually does look like a really nice triangle. Yep. So I could move that to there even. So basically A wave, B wave, C wave, D wave, and the E wave overshot a little bit, spiked lower. That's actually really typical of an E wave of a triangle. Now, the important thing, we've covered this before, but it's worth re-mentioning that a triangle is known as a pre-terminal wave in the cycle. Now, it may be that we're looking at some bigger cycle longer term, and so it isn't an all-time top that we're going to be reaching, but I'd have to look at that and see. But we will look at the longer term, I think, just to get a kind of idea on that. But basically, if this was a triangle, and actually it looks very much like a triangle, then we should get what's called a terminal thrust. So this is pre-terminal, then we get a terminal thrust to the upside. The terminal thrust would almost definitely be in 5 waves here. And an easy target, or an initial target for me, would be to sail through the previous all-time high, which is there at 73, 74,000, somewhere around there, to sail through it, because we need to go above here. If this is wave 4 down, we need to go above the top of what was wave 3. So I can even relabel that as wave 3 there. And then we would need to go up here for wave to complete a wave 5. So we can just go up there as a wave 5. So basically, this is a triangle wave 4 and pushing up in wave 5, take us to the all-time highs. And I think 84 is a good target. We could go beyond 84. I don't think we'll fall short of it, to be honest. I think we're most likely to push up to 84,000. So that's a really good move from here. It's actually, what is it, 30% more? It's more than 30, well more than 30%. In fact, it's 25, it's well over 30%, put it that way.
Yep.
So it's a really decent move. So that gives you a sort of flavor for what we're expecting now across the board, because although Bitcoin, the altcoins haven't really followed suit, I think we probably are going to have a bit of an alt season, and I think they're going to play.
Oh yeah. I mean, as this thing goes, it's just all that money is going to flow in, and as more and more people realize that, they're not going to be able to get a whole Bitcoin for under 100 grand and stuff like that. You're going to see more people looking for different assets.
Yeah, if you'd said, I know if you'd said Bitcoin 100,000 a few years ago, people would have thought you're absolutely crazy. It's never going to happen. But now it's actually a real possibility. As I say, we could sail through here. We could go to 100. I'm hearing more and more talks of $1 million Bitcoin, which is still, sincerely possible.
I know. Well, and then the thing is, guys, you can cut a Bitcoin into 1 million different pieces. Okay. There's a Satoshi in there. So you don't have to own a whole Bitcoin. I mean, obviously you want to own whole Bitcoins, but there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins. And in reality, there's way less than that, because guys like me have lost lots of Bitcoins. They're forever. They're gone. There's a lot of Bitcoins that are lost.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just flip over very briefly to yesterday. Just, that one I showed yesterday, wherever it is. In fact, it's actually quite good to see. Well, I won't bother with PPI now. We know where they came in, very, very low. But this yesterday, we looked at.
This is something else.
Yeah.
This is something else right here.
Yeah, the median house price just shows what you'd have paid for a house in 2016. A median house, depends where you are, of course, but the median was 288,000. It would have cost you 664 Bitcoin at the time to buy a house of that value. So now it's actually just 1% of that in Bitcoin terms. You'd only need 1% of the Bitcoin there to buy a house now, even though the house price in dollar terms, 2024, median house price is 434,000. So it's up, what is it, 50% or something, somewhere around there, 50% up in dollar terms. But in Bitcoin terms, it's down 99%.
I remember paying 6 Bitcoins, as a matter of fact, paying 6 Bitcoins to hook up a GPU miner to the Global Boost, because we could only CPU mine it. And the guy, Bitcoin was $600 a Bitcoin at the time. I remember, no, it was less, because the guy says, okay, look, I'll do it for 6 Bitcoins. But because it had dropped, it was like 240 or 300 or something at the time. He's like, but just realize that I'm still thinking that Bitcoin is $600. So I'll do it for 6 Bitcoins. So I could have bought a house.
Yeah.
For that.
Absolutely. And that's exactly it. 6 Bitcoins buys a house today.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
With no end in sight, guys. With no end in sight. That's why we do the show one of the reasons why I do the show every day. That's why people listen to us. That's why the whole world is changing. The whole world is changing.
Yeah, we are catching the ups and downs, though, and no doubt there will be ups and downs along the way. And it's certainly not a one-way bet. Yes, there's every chance that Bitcoin, everything that you've said about the futures coming into play before the end of the year, that will increase volume more than 10x on Bitcoin. And we'll get the same for Ethereum. So here's the Bitcoin. We're expecting much higher, but let's just scroll out a little bit. I don't know how much we'll need to scroll out to see. I might even need to go to the daily just to see where we're at. Not the daily, sorry, the weekly on this to look at the real long-term expectation. This is really the whole history of Bitcoin, even though it's 2009. There was no appreciable price action on this scale. You'd need to look at a logarithmic scale if you want to see the real early days price action. But anyway, you can see here, this is very clearly, even though it's a bit clouded now with all these letters and numbers I put on, but you can see it's a consolidation. Consolidations are basically continuation patterns, and we're expecting continuation to the upside here. Now, as I say, as far as I'm concerned, 84 is a sort of minimum bet. Now, this could still be wave 1, wave 2. The interesting thing is, if this is a triangle, this cannot be a wave 2. It can only be a wave 4 or a wave B. Now, that has really serious implications. Now, yeah, long term, who knows? But if this is a triangle, which I really believe it is, and I'll do some more study on it on a shorter time frames to try and absolutely clarify. But if it's a triangle, that means if this could be wave 4. If it's wave 4, we then have a final 5th wave higher then, and then a pullback. That is actually the bullish scenario of this. If this is a triangle, we get a 5th wave, then a pullback, and then we can still push up much higher. But if this is basically a B wave, it's a collection of ABCs. So this would be some kind of A wave up to here, B wave down, then a C wave higher. It's actually quite concerning that this is a triangle because, as I say, triangle is a pre-terminal wave. So this next move up should be a terminal wave in the cycle. So whether it stops here, whether it goes further, and it really can go further, this can extend to all sorts of different price levels. It really can. But what I'm telling you is that this next move up, wherever it finishes, should be a long-term turning point for Bitcoin and obviously the other risk assets, including even S&P, for example. They're all going to get hit together. But I do think that Bitcoin has the real chance to emerge out of any financial crisis as true digital gold. So even if you get a massive crash, I still would bet on Bitcoin long term. But I'm just saying, I think we're in for a really good bull run, and it could be that we get an amazing October. Who knows? But I think, here, looking on this scale, for example, if we were to go up at this sort of rate, it could go up as quickly as this. This takes us to Jan 25, for example. The timing isn't certain. It could be dragged out, but being an impulsive wave, it should go up reasonably quickly. So wouldn't surprise me if we're looking at maybe somewhere early next year, end of this year, early next year. I don't know when. This is variable here, to reach this peak and then get a pullback, or it could go a bit higher and pull back a bit later. But all I'm saying is you will need to be careful. Right now has been a great time to get in, and we did have risk reward really good on this. It's still probably pretty good right now. Looking at the longer term, we've got this much downside and we've got a lot of upside to come. So it's looking good. Ethereum is actually quite similar. And again, with Ethereum, potentially, we are looking to at least challenge the previous all-time high. So in some ways, not quite as bullish as Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, we are clearly looking at new all-time highs of at least 84,000, I believe. But Ethereum, I think that there's a real chance that the top of Ethereum could be the previous all-time high. So we could get a double top. This level is certainly, no matter what, going to be a challenge for the Ethereum price anyway. So I would still be very interested in being long this asset because we've had a corrective move down, which again is a continuation pattern. And I think we are likely to push higher. Interestingly, just look at this spike down here, came to this level, And notice the W wave, it didn't cross into that W wave. Whatever you label it as, it didn't cross into it, which is actually quite important. And it was a really good, from risk reward perspective, that was a good support level to get in. So when you saw that spike down go to this level, that's a really good tip. When you see these previous spike highs, they're good support levels. When price goes up and back down to retest the support level, then it goes on up and away. So the move from the top here, A, has been an ABC correction. We should expect some substantial movement upside. We're currently 2,700, and we're expecting previous all-time high 4,800. So massive potential upside there for Ethereum. So Ethereum is another one with really positive prospects. Solana, I'll go back to the again, Solana, by the way, could also go double top.
Yep.
A little bit like Ethereum potentially. It could obviously go beyond. It really could, but I'd say double top is going to be serious resistance to have to break. But shorter term, let's just open it out a little bit. And again, it went exactly according to our expectations. Yesterday, we laid it out very, very clearly that the move up that we'd had, we had regular bullish divergence here telling us there's going to be a move up. The move up was clearly in 5 waves. We actually measured it that wave 3 and, well, there was perfect Fibonacci relationships there within this 5-wave move to the upside. Then we got a very clear A, B, C move to the downside. And now we appear to be moving up quite nicely. Price is moving up really nicely to the upside. So if this is the bottom of C, and it still could potentially dip a bit lower, but I believe that's probably the low point. And if it is, then we're going to break, I believe, at least above this previous level here. That's 163 or something, but actually probably way above that. And if we measured the magnitude, in fact, I'll just remove that fib just to make things a little bit clearer. And now we can get a decent target on this. I just measured from the top of that wave 5 to the bottom here. So that's from here to here I'm measuring. I transpose that measurement to the bottom of the wave C there. And the minimum movement, 100% I would expect, would be 194. The next movement above that, 1.618, would be 227. And then a good one above that, 2.618, again, perfectly reasonable, would be 280. That would be a new all-time high for Solana. So I am bullish Solana. It looks like we've had an impulsive 5-wave move up and a 3-wave move back. So I do expect an impulse to the upside. So again, in tune with all the others, well, all the others we've looked at so far, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana is also looking extremely bullish. And we just got the great backdrop for all this with good news on cryptocurrency with the ETFs, with the ETF futures, with the limited supply, with much wider adoption. So many things in its favor, but also now the economic backdrop is in support, with the lowering of interest rates.
Yeah.
Let's hope the US economy doesn't slow down too much. But talking about that, I will probably just flip over to this because this is interesting. This is called the SARM rule. It's a lady who looked into this, and it's basically looking at unemployment as a recession indicator. And just to be clear exactly what it's saying, it says the SARM recession indicator signals the start of a recession when the 3-month moving average of the national unemployment rate rises by 0.5% or more relative to the minimum of the 3-month. Anyway, what it's saying is basically when unemployment rises against a previous measurement, particular measurement I detailed there, when it rises more than 0.5%, then it tells you recession's coming. So let's just have a look at this because we can see absolute figures. What's happened is we've got now 65 years worth of data here. And what I'm telling you is, or what she's telling us is, that every single time that this unemployment rate has risen by more than 0.5% above the previous minimum of 3-month averages over the last year, every single time over the last 65 years, it's signaled a recession. So that tells you so far this has been 100% accurate indicator of recession coming. So let's look at some of those figures because you might think, oh, maybe there's been some false signals. Like, for example, you can see it ticked up here. And you can see the measurement there, going to the very top level there, 0.37. Now, remember, it's got to be above 0.5% to signal recession coming. So even though we got a move up in unemployment there, no recession followed. Here, for example, we got a movement up. Early on, we got recession. It's above 0.5. Here, we quickly got well above 0.5, and we got recession. But here, looks like it ticked up here. Could this have been a recession coming? No, it got to 0.47, so it didn't reach that 0.5 trigger point. It's above 0.5 is the level as far as I'm concerned. So no recession there, and we got no recession. But here we got above 0.5 recession. Here we got above 0.5, so clearly recession. Here we got 0.43, so no recession. Here we got well above 0.5, recession every single time. So every time this has gone above 0.5%, without fail, we've had recession coming. So let's look at where we are today. So looking at the July unemployment figures, the reading we have 0.53. So this is the first time in some time now, in a few years, that we've gone above 0.53. So all these people who've been talking, oh, recession's coming. This is the indicator which signals 100% of the time previously in the last 65 years, recession's coming. This is the signal which is telling us the reading July was 0.53. That's above the 0.5%. So if history, every single time in history that it's been measured, if history repeats itself, as it always did, then we're headed for recession. So this is why the US will be lowering rates. I don't think they want to lower them by 0.5% because that would indicate panic on their behalf, and they don't want panic. But let's hope that they can do some gradual reductions in interest rates to keep the economy moving. But the economy is now beginning to slow, and the problem is once these things start to happen, they tend to accelerate quite quickly, and so we may see quite a slowing down. So we have seen a number of indicators, and as we said previously, we've got the inversion of the bond yields is another indicator. We've got real estate prices, commercial real estate in particular, is yet another indicator. So there's enough indicators out there, and this I think tells us it's pretty well nailed on recession's coming. But in the early stages, lowering of interest rates to stimulate the economy is going to be good risk assets. But if we do head into a more serious recession, especially if inflation remains elevated, which would then be what's called stagflation, which is stagnant growth with inflation, that is a really difficult problem to deal with. The Fed would really have a problem on their hands because they couldn't lower rates further because that would stimulate further inflation. And they couldn't raise rates because that would drop growth further. So their hands would be very much tied. And I don't know what imaginative tools, financial tools they might be able to dream up. I don't know. I don't know of anything they could do to get us out of a stagflation situation. What they normally tend to do is actually tackle inflation first, and growth would have to suffer. And that's why, if that were the case, we'll see earnings coming down, and we'll see less money available in the economy, less money into risk assets. So if recession were to bite properly, then we would see risk assets falling dramatically in the future. So that's why I think that the call that I gave of this being a pre-terminal wave on Bitcoin, looking at this pre-terminal wave, with a terminal wave to the upside, which could take us even into 2025, who knows, but we are expecting some good upside to come. But I do think it's a terminal wave, and I think that maybe we're going to have some economic problems, and that's even assuming we don't get geopolitical issues. But I'm not quite as optimistic as you, Bruce. I'm hopeful like you, but I'm not quite as optimistic.
I know. As I say it, I'm like, I mean, it's hopium. It is hopium.
Yeah. So
we're familiar with this. I hope and I pray.
Absolutely. I think, as you say, prayer is very important. It's one of the few things we can do to hopefully make things better. So that's that. We'll just look at gold. Gold's having another nice move to the upside. As you know, I've been targeting the top side of this Actually, I'm surprised we may get some more downside. Just looking at this, we may get some more downside on gold before we push up again. But at some point, we'll get a new all-time high for gold here. And as I say, that's a way through. We'll get a pullback, another all-time high probably for gold. So I'm really bullish gold longer term.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like there's so much room for growth on gold. It's crazy. Gold and silver, and the precious metals.
Yeah. We're talking
at Cost Metals, guys, at costmetals.com.
Yeah, definitely worth including some gold in your portfolio. Obviously not everything, but it's definitely important, I think, to have some of that precious asset as a safe haven and a store of value, and a bit of diversification makes absolute sense, I believe. I think anyone. We saw oil yesterday. I remember we were saying there's a bit of geopolitical tension, which probably pushed the oil price up. Maybe, as you say, things are calming down a little bit for the time being, and we're seeing oil price turning down again. So maybe we will see a bit of calm. Maybe calm before the storm. Maybe let's hope it's a more lasting calm. Who knows? So this is what happened with dollar index. So as we know, when you had low PPI, which is basically probably one of the best measures of inflation, it means when you get really low PPI, it means less expectation to raise interest rates. So money flows out of the dollar because they're not going to get such high returns, and it flows into risk assets. So because it's flowing out of the dollar, then you can see that the dollar is depreciating here. So that's precisely what happens. Some really big red candles here. This was yesterday's red candle here, and this is the beginning of today's red candle. So we are seeing some more downside to the DXY, the dollar index. So I'm actually looking at this. This is also in a bit of a triangle here. Well, whether it's a triangle, whether it's just some kind of wedge pattern, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the longer term. And it's not even sure where this triangle starts. So again, to have to look at it in shorter time frames to see, but potentially I think we are still looking at some more upside to come on dollar index. So we'll have to see, but it actually is going exactly as expected for the time being, in line with those weak PPI figures yesterday. We will look at ton coin.
Oh yeah, ton coin. I just checked my thing. Now dog and flowers up 80%. These meme coins can be so fun. But dog,
you've been shouting about it. You've been shouting the past few days, haven't you? So
I know that's true. I'm sure that helps. Ton coin up over 15, almost 16% is on my hour readout here. Ton coin.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we've got some kind of corrective move down here, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, something like that. Anyway, it's corrective down, so an ABC down to give us a wave 4 most likely. So again, a bit like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, we're adding to them more and more now. It looks like Toncoin is also headed to new all-time highs here. And I think actually Toncoin, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, well, Bitcoin probably new all-time high, maybe at least 84. Ethereum at least challenged the previous all-time. I think Toncoin is going to smash its previous all-time high, to be honest. It's moving so nicely now after this correction.
The community is so big. I mean, that's
like a bit of a pullback. We've already got a potential 5 waves to the upside here, which would just be a wave 1, then we get a bit of a wave 2, and then another big push, wave 3. So Toncoin is looking really bullish, and as Bruce said, all those projects they're building on Ton
that are building on it, well, especially the way these things work now with the DEXs is they have that liquidity.
Book of Memes, I think, is probably set to get a big jump very soon. I think, as we so often say, Book of Memes, when the market moves, it's one of the big movers. Let's just see whether we expect upside. Hard to say at the moment, actually, so I wouldn't be absolutely clear, although we did have bullish divergence here telling us of this move up. And I'd need to look again at different time frames for this divergence. But
I don't know what you mean by, hey Siri, I'm at this challenge.
She's always watching it.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I think Siri took over your audio there for a minute. You couldn't hear me, but it's okay.
Yeah, she does that.
Siri.
Yeah. So Doge again is yet another one that's had a strong push to the downside there. But these spikes often tell you of a test lower and failed. We've been through that many times. So we're pushing up quite nicely now with Doge. And I think there's more to come. There was one other asset I wanted to touch on. There it is, XRP.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I think actually there's still a lot more upside to come with XRP. We had what I think was quite a muted response from XRP terms. I mean, yes, it moved from 38 to 65 there with that move up. And it's clearly 5 waves. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice 5-wave move there to the upside. Or it might even finish 5 here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, you need to check the Fibonacci measurements. And then we get an A, B, C. And B wave is allowed to move beyond the start of A. So that's a good ABC move down. But now we've moved impulsively up, correctively down. We're expecting an impulse up soon. So I'm actually think that XRP is another one that's going to follow those, maybe not to all-time highs, but who knows? I hear talk already of XRP being a potential ETF in the future. So the next ones in line are probably maybe Solana, maybe XRP as the next 2 potentials. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. I don't know, but they're real potentials. And I think if XRP were to be launched, to get an ETF, then I think the sky will be the limit with XRP. And who knows, that it's had really much higher highs in the past. And then
I mean, this has the potential to. I mean, everybody has their eye on $10 Ripple. You know what I mean? It's like I was saying earlier, it just feels programmed in.
Yeah. And then I think maybe we finish the day with ICP, because I think that's one that's just sleeping at the minute, but I think the potential for it to take off is tremendous. So we had bullish divergence here, basically with lower lows on price and higher lows on RSI corresponding. So you can see the lineup there quite nicely. It's to there, in fact. So line up perfectly. So we had from here that you can see the precise lineup there of the basically lower lows on price, higher lows on RSI, and then we got the pump in price. So the signal was perfect. The outlook is substantially higher. And again, we got that typical hallmark spike lower there, testing lower, and then targeting much higher now for ICP. So I think a lot of the tokens like ICP, Book of Memes, and a few of those more volatile tokens, I think there's a lot of upside ahead. If we're going to see that sort of upside for Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and XRP and Toncoin, then I think these will actually be probably those tokens on steroids. So I think that we get a lot more upside in percentage terms anyway. So we're currently at $7. Even a 1.618 move of this move here, extension of this move here, would take us to 1460 or something. That's already 100% movement up, and it could well go well beyond that, because with ICP you often get extensions well beyond the 1.618, and 2.618 would be, as we can see, up at the $20 mark. That's a 300% move from where we are pretty well. So I think the upside on these is absolutely tremendous. So it's one of those I'd be very interested in taking some positions. The risk on this trade would be either below this spike here, or safer still would be below this spike here. So a little bit of potential downside. So I wouldn't be putting all my eggs into this basket, but I'm just saying from a risk reward perspective, this would be your risk either here or here, but your reward potentially at 300%, I think probably means that the risk of a small bit of downside is well worth it. So, even I have no idea what your budget might be, but even $100, you could turn 100 into 300 potentially, with a downside of maybe dropping to $80. So from risk reward, I think it's an amazing potential trade worth looking at with a bit of money you can afford. So that's about it for today. I think we're going to get a good day ahead personally. And I don't know what the futures were. Did you go through the futures? Are they looking positive?
Of course, everything's looking positive. I didn't dig into them that much. Let me just
we had a stellar day yesterday on Dow Jones with 408 points yesterday, which was phenomenal.
There So the Dow futures are flat, but a lot of times after a day like that, it could mean a pullback, but I feel like we continue.
Yeah, Hang Seng surprisingly was actually down a little bit, only a fraction yesterday. But China still has a lot of financial problems, and they're actually also fighting with slowing growth. So
I saw that as well. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange was down slightly, I believe, this morning as we started the show.
Yeah, just a fraction. Yeah. So all in all, I think we're headed probably for another positive day. So we said that yesterday, and we saw a really positive day, especially on those crazy tokens that you're talking about on the top.
I know. They go down sometimes the same way, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, again, it's not for all your money, but it's certainly worth a punt if you've got some spare cash that you can afford to take a punt. Then you can get some tremendous gains on these, and I think Bruce has got a pretty good track record of picking them out.
Yes, as we do.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for listening, Bruce. Thanks everybody for listening, and look forward to catch up tomorrow. Let's hope we get another good day ahead. I think we probably will do.
Amazing. All right. Well, enjoy your day, Matt. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Cheers. Make sure to follow Matt Dixon, the great Matt Dixon. He's MD Trade on X. Follow him. He's active on there. He's doing spaces. He does the show with us, and he's doing his deal. So make sure to follow him. I'm working as well on the Impact Money Show website, and it's a little bit slow going. I'm actually on vacation this week, but we still do the show, kind of rain or shine. But I am working on that. Hopefully, I'll have something by the beginning of next week that we can show everybody and give more ways for you guys to get involved, right? Because I want people to be able to be involved. I want people to be able to win in these markets with us. I think that the move, and it's always can be choppy, guys. It can always be choppy. But I think this move towards October, I really want you guys to be able to capitalize on this move. Because I think that it can be life changing. I mean, these things can be life changing. You have an 80% move on something, or 100% move, or a 300% move on something that can be life changing. That can be life changing, and that's that's pretty cool here. Are you long? Boom. Let me just this out here for you. As I move around here, I know we have I have pretty interesting actually. There's a difference between democracy and a republic, and of course they're always talking about the republic, right? Trump's he's a danger to our republic, and this and that, and blah, blah blah, and all this other stuff. Well, actually, the truth is that he is a danger to the republic. I mean, to the democracy, because we're not a democracy, folks. We are a republic. So I have a video here. I'm going to play it real quick while I queue up some of the other stuff. As well, my favorite Algorand token. Algorand, of course, is looking really nice. But my favorite Algorand tokens, Dalgo. Before I hop into this democracy stuff, Dalgo is up over 3% today. Let me just show you this. These assets, I firmly believe, not financial advice. This is all risky assets and everything else. Firmly believe though that these guys, with their locked liquidity, that this stuff is gonna run, guys. And I talk about these ones quite a bit because I love the locked liquidity structure. Okay, so Dalgo is a meme coin launched on Algorand, and they locked up over 10% of supply of Polka Gold. And Polka Gold, okay, so this is Dalgo. This is the fun meme coin. And the way these meme coins work, this is like this is basically like their advertising branch. That's how I look at it, right? You get the fun Dalgo meme frog with business savvy, and this is on Algorand, and I'm a big supporter of Algorand as well. Algorand is not the usual suspects. Okay, it's started by an Italian guy, an MIT guy. Anyway, fun. It's a fun asset. It has over 10% of the Polka Gold that's locked into this asset, okay, and they burned it at the supply. So they put all of the complete supply, I think it's 100 billion that they minted, put it all in, locked it into the smart contracts of the DEX, as well as stuck, over 10% of the supply of Polka Gold into that smart contract and burned it. Basically, it's there forever. So it has a floor, a theoretical floor. It has a floor of that asset. Now, of course, it's kind of dependent on, of course, Algorand, but Algorand is a great ecosystem. And Algorand, if you think Algorand is going to go back to all-time highs, which I firmly believe it will, then that's going to go, because now Polka Gold, so Dow goes up 3.3%. Polka Gold's not up as much today. Let me just pull them up here, but holding strong and up. Okay. We had a bit of an exit there. It's up slightly, but the Polka Gold here and is what they did was they launched this with Algorand locked. So same way that they launched the Dalgo Gold, they launched Polka Gold, except Dot Whales and the Algorand whales launched this. They locked all the liquidity in there. And so when we have these deep pullbacks, the liquidity is always there. So you have a way in and you have a way out. And that's, I like that, because a lot of these other assets, of course, it's great. It's awesome to have a 80% move up. I mean, I love it. You know what I mean? But, if you don't have the locked liquidity, it can be a wild ride. With the locked liquidity, it's pretty interesting. So I'm long on these assets. I think that these gains are going to run. I think Algorand is going to run as well. So that's that. Algorand. Let me just look at how Algorand is looking today. Yeah, Algorand is, let me just share that so you can look at that too. Up over about 3.5%, 3.44. Let me just look at what Bitcoin is at. So basically on par with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 378. So 372. They're moving. We're moving, guys. We are moving. 60,999, almost 61,000 Bitcoin. Really, just unbelievable. Remember, I was, throwing these things around for so cheap back in the day. It's so funny. Okay, so that is the deal with that. I also wanted to talk about the democracy thing. So when they say that Trump is a threat to democracy, they're right. Because we are not a democracy, folks. We're not a democracy. We are a republic. Republic. Here we go. And this guy explains it. Networks manager. Isn't that funny? So you guys just saw that, right? So I went to top, nothing came up. So this is like one of the ways, I just did it live on my show here, that we're getting censored here. And we should show this to Elon, because look at this. No results under top. And then I go to latest. And here's my post. Okay. And I mean, how is this not a top post? Wait a minute. Here it is right here. My 5.9, 5,900 reposts, 9,600 likes, over 468,000 impressions, and that's not on my top. So I just did a search. So this is live on the air. Let me go back. So I did a search from Networks Manager, Republic, top, and I get nothing. Why do I get nothing? 5,900 reposts, nearly 500,000 impressions. It's crazy. So that's one of the ways that they're censoring us. Anyway, I'm glad to have an account. I'm glad to be on here using it. I don't know if Elon knows about this stuff. Anyway, this is an important. Here's why you were taught that the United States is a democracy instead of a republic. There's a big difference. Listen to this.
A democracy is a political system in which the people periodically, by majority vote at the polls, select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority vote among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the people also, by majority vote at the polls, select rulers who make laws by majority vote among themselves. But the rulers cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution severely restricts their lawmaking power. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic and transforming it into a democracy. The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. Writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against dictatorship, monarchy they called it. But their chief anxiety was to protect the country against democracy. Edmund Randolph, delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said the general object of the convention was to provide a cure for the follies and fury of democracy. Elbridge Gerry and Roger Sherman, delegates from Massachusetts and Connecticut, urged the Constitutional Convention to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York, said, "We are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline too much to democracy, we shall soon shoot into a monarchy." John Adams, one of the giants of the American Revolutionary period, said, "Democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it happens to get the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel." America was founded not as a democracy, but as a constitutional republic. We pledge allegiance to the republic for which our flag stands, not to a democracy. The Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but does not mention democracy, and neither does the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights. Someone asked him what kind of government the convention had given America, and Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Very old and very wise, Franklin saw through the mists of time to the day when Americans might trade their freedom in a constitutional republic for the promise of government guaranteed equality and security in a democracy. And beyond that, to the day when democracy inevitably degenerates into dictatorship, guaranteeing nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
Yeah. Very important video. So it's interesting as well that it's hidden, kind of. I mean, it's pretty much hidden. So you would do a search for that video from me, and you wouldn't see it because you probably wouldn't toggle from top to latest. Anyway, I guess I'll post to Elon about it. I don't know if we'll see it or not, but I mean, it's great that we have the platform. I think the Gremlins are definitely doing their thing. There was a bit of a change in the algorithm about 2 weeks ago. I'm not a big fan now, but it is still the best platform out there, and it's actually even put enough pressure on the other platforms where you can speak more freely on the other platforms. But I mean, let's face it, if we didn't have X, they would still be telling everyone that there's nothing happened with the jab, and that it would be just like the news, on and on and on about Trump. Trump is bad and Kamala's so great. It would you couldn't say anything else. So crazy that we let ourselves get in a situation like that here in America, the land of the free, home of the brave. We need to make sure that we save ourselves. Getting Trump elected is very important. I hope we can do it. I'm optimistic today, but of course, I'm always optimistic when the markets are going through the roof. It's easy to be optimistic on those days. Yeah, good times. I think I have been doing the show a bit longer recently, but I think I'm going to cut it today. It is always a pleasure. I will be back on your TVs. We had a lot of good information on the show. I will post a little bit more links, and as you see on X now, I just kind of do a thread. Okay, so you can throw down there. Yeah, always a pleasure, guys. I'll be back on your TVs in about 5 hours. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.